Once again, thank you for joining this call. We appreciate your time here. And today uh, we'll be presenting on the new Clear One products and solutions, which will elevate your hybrid, flexible work and learn experience, which is a clear choice for any professional audiovisual practitioners. I'm joined here with my colleague, Christo Verghese, who is a regional sales manager for the Middle East region. Thank you, Christo, for joining us. And Christo will be helping us to moderate the session, looking into the questions. There is a Q&A session as part of the Teams call that we are joined here today. So Christo will be watching your questions, and we'll go through those questions towards end of the call. The idea about timing, we expect to have the presentation run for about 25 to 30 minutes. Then we'll take about 10 to 15 minutes for the Q&A. That's how we intend to have this scheduled out. Let me share my screen. All right. The products that we are going to cover today is the new generation Dialog UVHF digital wireless microphone system from Clear One. We launched this in Infocom US in June, and we expect the shipping sometime around November. In the Dante enabled BMA 360 microphone ceiling tile, the one which I'm talking to you right now is on a BMA 360. And we are shipping this product. The Dante product is shipping. And we also launched a series of new Unite series cameras for small, medium, and large meeting spaces. And it also has some AI-based functionalities. We'll go through them in detail. And finally, the Versa UCS2100, a collaboration switcher, which is designed for hybrid, flexible UC meeting spaces, and see how does that fit into your ecosystem for a guaranteed performance, connecting all peripherals. The Dialog UVHF is the new generation, which is an upgraded version of our existing WS800. So the foundation of this microphone system is pretty much on the WS800. However, we have changed the product design ground up. It's a ground up new product. So you'll see some differences in terms of its components and use cases, number of channels that supported. So that's pretty updated design on the UVHF. The reason why the name UVHF is can work in both UHF and VHF frequency range, which is selectable in the field. What you see in the presentation in the picture at the moment are the primary components of the system. We have an 8-channel Dante-based transceiver or antenna, which is also looks in the form of an access point, which is PoE enabled, and the docking station, which is a smart dock network-based, and 4 different transmitters, a gooseneck with 6, 12, and 18-inch length, a handle microphone with a table boundary mic, and a body pack transmitter. So these are some of the primary components, the mandatory components required to complete the UVHF microphone system. If you see here, we have moved away from the rack mountable wireless receiver concept. The receiver in this case is the access point, which is connected on the network. A typical connectivity looks like something like this. Have a network switch. All of these components are connected on a network, and the access point is providing Dante output for 8-channel microphone system, and the dock is also connected through a PoE injector, which is included with the system for a 60 watt. The reason why 60 watts, because that's what is going to supply the necessary power for charging those transmitters. And the PoE required for the access point can be directly from the switch or through an injector as and when required, which is not included in this case. And all of those devices can be managed from a PC based on a browser. So there is a browser-based app which will discover these units on the network, which will also give you some capability to configure and control the device and also look at monitoring. And monitoring is a big part of these systems in the market today. The current model of WS800 systems does support up to 32 channels. But when we move to the Dialog UVHF systems, you can have up to 350 available channels in a space. That's a large number of channels that can coexist in a particular space. So this is a pretty big advantage or a gem, I would say. If you have modern meeting rooms are coming up with, don't have enough compute or raceways to run cables, or if the room is already built and you need to deploy some wireless microphones, and if you have so many of them, a pretty good use case might be something like a university or a judicial, a multi-floor, any multi-floor corporate enterprise, or similar building where you have multiple meeting spaces in a floor or even multiple floors, where traditionally wireless microphone systems are not the first choice because of the restrictions on the number of available channels. Now with this, we are able to reproduce 350 available channels, pretty much probably in every 25 meters, which is considerably a large number of deployment in the current situation in the industry today. So that's an advantage with the Dialog UVHF system. Each of these access points does support 8 channels of Dante. That means it can pair or synchronize up to 8 transmitter microphones per access point. And so you can pair any sort of a transmitter of your choice. It can be a gooseneck, a handled boundary, or body pack. There are special diverse antenna with redundancy. So each of those corners has an antenna built in. So that also helps us to achieve some redundancy in the antenna because of its positioning. And it provides a high quality audio, even in harsh environments, just because of the diverse antenna placement and the antenna redundancy. The coverage of this one access point at the 50 milliwatt transmission power can cover up to 60-meter radius, or in other words, 200 feet radius line of sight. So that can cover a pretty good, any large presentation space, classroom, seminar halls, or an auditorium, for example, pretty much, covered. We understand the requirement of additional extension antennas, so which will be coming or launched in the near future for areas where you have divisible meeting rooms or divisible spaces where you have physical partitions is a clear requirement for expansion. So that will be in the near future. As far as the wireless connectivity between the transmitter and the receiver is concerned, the audio is encrypted with 256-bit AES encryption, and it's also the federal industry standard certified with FIPS 197 compliance, which is quite unique for the WS800 systems. You would have been watching us seeing 256-bit encryption coming into the wireless microphone industry. We've been doing it for the last 10 plus years now as a pioneer in bringing in 256-bit encryption to wireless audio for the ProAV market. It's also FIPS 197 compliant. So if you're working with government institution, any military institutions or banking sector customers, all are concerned about having their audio secured on a wireless connection. So we got you covered with the FIPS 197 standard. So what is it is telling you is it's just not that something Clear One developed and tested, but also complying to an external agency certification, which is FIPS 197. All of these devices, as I mentioned earlier, can be controlled and managed via browser. So you can monitor the different functionalities. There are some screenshots of the system. You can do RF scan and get the availability of available channels, and you can click auto assign. So the system is going to determine the best possible or available channels. Not only that, it also going to assign or keep three additional backup channels for, it's going to reserve those many channels for your future use in case any change in your environment or change in frequency. The system is going to automatically fall back to the redundant available channel. There's also a dashboard for you to see different types of what type of microphone is paired with per channel and what's the battery status. Yeah, it's a pretty good monitoring tool to watch if you have multiple rooms and if you want to manage all of this from a network. Is a good idea. The access points are PoE enabled and offers Dante ports, and it includes both primary and secondary. So that's a good addition, and there's redundancy on the Dante ports as well. And these are standard Cat6 connections. And these access points are pretty lightweight, can go into any, it's pretty much mountable like any access points out there in the market today. Can be on the ceiling, suspended on the wall, or even on the table. So you have flexibility in mounting. Just make sure to maintain the line of sight between transmitter and receiver. Here is something which is in addition to, this is an additional component. In case if your system is not Dante based and if you mandatorily require balanced audio outputs or unbalanced audio or USB audio, this is a pretty good interface box, which will convert your audio from Dante to balanced audio outputs, providing 8 individual outputs for those microphones. You can also get a TRS 6.3 mm phono jack output as a mixed output for monitoring or any headset connectivity. In the front panel, you'll also see a USB audio, which is again a mixed audio. So if you do not have the requirement to do any reinforcement, for example, and this can pretty much go into an MTR or a meeting room compute PC for conferencing purpose. So that's a pretty good, I mean, without even the requirement of DSP, because DSP is required when you want to do auto mix and echo cancellation and the additional processing that is mandatorily required for some of this voice left and sound reinforcement applications. So this is a pretty good interface box. You also get a GPIOs, where if you want to do some function, these are configurable with your buttons. I mean, with the push of a button on the microphone, you can trigger a camera to look at you, sort of things. So those are general purpose input and output connections. There are different types of transmitters and options. The first one on the list is a handle microphone with different heads available. So when you look at the Clear One price list, you'll see the transmitters as a separate piece and the microphone as a separate piece, which gives you the flexibility to determine whether you need a dynamic or an electric cardioid microphone, or if you want to connect to a compatible or a suitable third-party microphone, such as an Audix, IM3 or IM5 type of microphones. Those are the possibilities. And it comes to the body pack, you have pretty good flexibility. You can use a Clear One lavalier or head-worn microphones. That's a single head-worn. And you also have a lanyard-based microphone. Pretty, a very good use case for certain applications where you cannot connect a lavalier or a collar mic. And we also provide compatibility with any TA4 connections. So if we have a customer who is very specific about having a particular type of microphone or color, or it's based on its construction, as long as that microphone is TA4 connector compliant, you can use the Clear One transmit, the body pack transmitter plus the TA4 microphone of their choice. It's pretty much possible. The tabletop boundary microphones, it's only one SKU. That's a good news. You only need to order one microphone if you need an omni or cardioid microphone. You're going to make that decision at site, whether you want to use it as an omni or cardioid. You can make that configuration. You can select the pickup pattern in the field. The gooseneck microphones are available with 6, 12, and 18-inch. Here as well on the price list, you'll see the base unit as a separate part number versus the gooseneck mic. And they have the option for 6, 12, and 18-inch with a nice green color LED, which is indicating mute and unmute status. The handle also has a LED function, which will indicate you for any mute and mute status. And it also has the capability to rename. For example, what you see as slot 2 can be renamed as a Christos mark. So that's a possibility. So you don't need to damage your microphones with or paste with a lot of stickers on the microphone. Another cool feature to help you save some battery is it's built in with a motion sensor when the microphone, especially the body pack and the handle microphones are not in motion. It's going to mute automatically, and you can disable that function completely. For example, if you're putting these microphones on a podium stand, and if you want to disable that, yep, that's possible. But yeah, with motion sensor, it's going to help save. It will go to automatic standby or auto awake as and when it's picked up. The cardioid and gooseneck microphone bases also comes with a programmable button for push to talk, push to mode, and toggle mute functions. This is where you can configure or pair these buttons with the GPIO functions on the interface box to do an external action. The body pack and handle microphones also provide a programmable switch to whether you want to do a power or mute function, depending upon the application that you're using. So these are some of the use cases. The network charging dock is not only a charging dock, can do a bit more, a lot more than just do charging. One, of course, you can do firmware updates, you can do monitoring, you can configure the device. One other cool feature that I personally like a lot is in case if you're having running out of batteries, and if you want to have those spare batteries without waiting for the recharge time, you can straightforward use any of those lithium-ion batteries, which you can see in this picture. There are 8 of those per docking station available as as a spare for charging. The network charging dock also provides a dual port Ethernet. So if your customer has only given you a single port for network connection, you want to connect your laptop, yes, that acts as a hub for your connectivity for Ethernet. So it is PoE, or you can also power this with a DC power supply. So you have redundancy there as well. Using a single button, somewhere, let me point out. Yeah, there's a single button. With a single button press, you can configure or synchronize these microphones. Is a pretty good feature. All these transmitters also has a USB-C built into it. So if you want to use those microphones or charge them with USB-C, if you don't have access to the docking station, yes, that's pretty much possible. At 1 milliwatt, all of these microphones can give a 12 hours runtime in use. So magnetic locking secures dock microphones, PoE and DC power inputs available. Clay One team will be happy to assist you with a free antenna design if that's something that you would need to contact your regional sales manager. Send them the information of the room layout and the number of microphones required and any AV rack if there is one. Discuss that with the regional sales manager and you can avail a uh, free antenna design. And the good news that all of this Dialog UVHF microphones are covered with 3 years warranty. Both the access point, the docking station, and the microphone are all available, supplied with a standard 3 years warranty. With that, we'll move to our second product for today's presentation, which is BMA360 Dante. This has been a long wait for many of you. People like the audio quality in 360. I'm pretty sure the audio that you're receiving from this room, I hope it's pretty, natural or loud enough with a ceiling microphone. I'm not wearing any microphone. It's the ceiling microphone which is picking me up. And now that microphone is compatible with Dante, which means you can use that with any Dante-enabled DSP. Or if it's a single tile application, you may use that with Dante AVIO adapter, something like this, like a small adapter which will convert a network Cat6 into a USB. Or they've got multiple different options in Dante Ordinate. You can buy Dante to USB or XLR or sort of connections. For Clay One resellers, Clay One dealers, and distributors, the good news is we'll have Clay One's on Dante to USB adapter available very soon, sometime in Q4. The availability or the use of the BMA360, you have two ways of using it in terms of its number of channel requirement. You can configure the BMA360 anytime from 1 beam up to 12 beams, being the maximum per microphone array. And you can take any of those beams as independent outputs on Dante channels, which is going to consume 12 Dante channels. That means 12 inputs on the DSP. And by the way, those beams are raw beams, not processed. There's no echo cancellation, noise cancellation applied to it. Or else you can use our smart switch output or smart mix, which is going to consume only one Dante channel. And that is including all the enhancements of Clay One processing with echo cancellation, noise cancellation, and level control, and auto mixing, all of that. So that's what I said. If it's a single tile application, probably you may not want to have a DSP, but use a simple adapter. And what does it tell you is that's a lot of savings on your rack space and external DSP. And the good news is we still have the 4-channel amplifier built into the ceiling tile. So it's an all-in-one unit, the industry's only ceiling tile with built-in 4-channel Dante amplifier, which is a pretty good deal. And it has all the capabilities and all the features of our existing BMA360 with the frequency invariance. So when you look at these polar patterns as a comparison, you'll see a typical beamforming. The red and green colors are indicating 1 kilohertz and the 2.5 kilohertz, where it's not producing uniform output for the same person's audio. So the audio levels are different, or the output is different. What does that mean is when I move my head, my audio is going to vary. In this case, with the Clay One BMA360, you see uniform output where the 1 kilohertz, 1.5, 2.5, or 4.5 kilohertz, you're going to get a consistent output. So being 0 degrees, the peak audio, where it's consistently looking at that beam with all natural sounding audio with that particular beam. So yeah, so that's a pretty good deal. And the other thing is, and the BMA360 beam is only looking at this direction. It's not looking sideways. Like on the typical beamformer, you can see, even though the talker is 0 degree, there are side lobes which are looking at and the sideways. So which is going to pick up a lot of reflections, which is going to decrease your overall signal to noise ratio and this intelligibility. 360D, you have all the same similar features of your typical layouts, whether you're on a circular room, rectangular, or a semicircular classroom type configuration. By the way, I'm using a semicircle configuration for this meeting space, where I'm joined here on a signature meeting room on a Microsoft Teams front row experience center. So this is a semicircle coverage that I'll do a demo of this a little bit later. And it also offers a custom beam pointing. And if you want to manipulate beams and say, oh yeah, I want to particularly manipulate each beam and I want to do it in my own way, that's pretty much possible with the custom beam pointing option. And I think this is a pretty good time for me to give you a live demo and experience of BMA 360. Nothing, not a big deal, but just to, yeah, Krista is going to make some, maybe just zoom out to show the whole room and so that I can walk around. So as you could see, when I'm moving around and I'm talking, so it's not a demonstration where I move to one location and then start speaking. No, I'm continuously moving and still you should be hearing me loud and clear. That's one way. I mean, the handing of beams. Now, right now, what's really happening is the beams are handing over from 2 to 3 to 3 to 1. So you should not feel that difference, or it should be smooth enough. There should not be any up and down hiccups. It should be consistent. That's what we expect. And I hope it is. And even there are situations when I'm not facing the microphone, I'm facing away from the microphone. I might be looking at a display or an interactive monitor or something like that. My audio shouldn't be, going too low where it's difficult to understand or and difficult to catch up. So that's a demonstration just to show you how this frequency invariance and the deep side lobe beam forming and even smart switching between beams works and quite nicely. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them on your Q&A window somewhere right up there. All right. 360D can be used for voice lift and camera tracking. Yes. Now that you have access to individual beams, you can do mix minus, reach out to your Clay 1 distributor or Clay 1 regional sales managers to learn more about the PAC-DAC calculator, which helps you to determine the potential acoustic gain required and the needed acoustic gain calculation. So you can pretty much estimate the feedback stability margin even before you go to a deployment at your design stage itself. Reach out to your regional sales managers. Camera tracking. Yeah, I've received quite a number of questions from different people. Can I still use BMA 360 Dante for camera tracking? The answer is yes. 360D offers two different IPs. One for the control, and the second one is for the Dante audio transport. So you will use the control IP to receive the beam reports, the way that you have been receiving beam reports in the past from a DSP. Now that you can receive that information directly from the BMA 360 Dante using that control port IP address and use that information with any control system, you can pretty much do camera tracking, which is a nice option, even without the requirement of a DSP. I think a lot of people are going to like that. We're seeing a lot of those questions coming in, which is pretty good. I'm happy that you're going to make use of this advantage in the Clay 1 360 Dante solution. As I said earlier, it's built in with a 4-channel, 4 into 15 watts, or can be configured to 2 by 30 watts at 8 ohms, 4-channel Dante amplifier, so you can connect your loudspeakers directly from the ceiling tile. So no need of additional rack space for amplifiers or DSP sort of things. So yeah, it's and this is again important if you're in a in a room such as I'm in right now. It's a front row layout that I'm looking towards. There's a stereo speaker. I have two speakers running on from the ceiling, and I'm getting left and right connections. And if I'm using front row layout, I get spatial audio, positional based audio, which is a good deal. You need more than one speaker to receive that audio. I mean, to meet that functionality, which I think is a pretty nice advantage. And with the use of 4-channel amplifier, you can have two front of the hall speakers, plus can also have two fill outs, I mean, towards the ceiling. I mean, can have another left and right speakers on the ceiling as well. So you're not compromising on your audio delivery. That's premium audio. Flexible mounting options, flush mount and drop down. That comes, this is a pretty good slide to tell you the different beamformers from Cleveland at the moment. The BMA2 and the BMA-CT is our previous generation microphone with 24 elements. And the BMA2 can be mounted on the wall, on the table, or on the ceiling. I think most of you are familiar with that. And the primary difference with that is it's a P-Link based system. That means you need a Cleveland DSP. It can be daisy chained up to 3 microphones per DSP. There's no camera tracking, or let me put it this way. It can be used for camera tracking with Converge Pro 2 as a whole unit. Let's say if you have 3 BMA2s or 3 BMA-CTs in a large room, when I'm getting on BMA-2.1, I mean the number 1, yeah, I can say preset 1, look at this area. But I don't have specific beam report based camera tracking from BMA2 or BMA-CT. Whereas I have that capability with BMA 360 and 360 Dante. And then the big difference is the 4-channel amplifier built into the 360 units. And with Dante, yes, it's interoperable with any other Dante-enabled DSP. Frequency invariance, voice lift, camera tracking, deep side lobe beamforming, all of that is part of the 360 category. That's just to give you a brief idea about the different beamforming solutions available from Cleveland today. Now that we are moving into our Unite series of AI-powered cameras, there are 3 cameras that I'm focusing primarily in this presentation. There are others. You can look at the Cleveland website for home office entry-level webcams, but these are all 4K 30 cameras. The primary difference between them, 260 has 20x optical zoom and 16 times digital, whereas Unite 160 is 12 times optical zoom, and the Unite 60 is 3 times digital zoom. These are used. The Unite 60 is pretty good for a huddle space, the Unite 160 for medium, and Unite 260 for with its 20x and 16 times digital zoom, you can do large auditoriums, seminar halls type installations. It also supports PoE, and it can be powered on DC power as well. I'll be sharing these presentations with you, all of you who joined this call. So I'm not going to the details of the comparison table asset, but that's a primary difference. One of the key feature with all these cameras are it has some AI functions. The 260 and the 160 both can do auto framing and smart face tracking. In other words, presenter tracking. Whereas the smaller form factor, the Unite 60, which also has built-in microphone to do the audio-based tracking, it can do speaker tracking as well. So auto framing, speaker tracking, and smart face tracking. And all of these cameras comes with 2 years standard warranty. Just to give you an idea about what we meant by auto framing, I think people are very familiar with these different terminologies. Covering everyone in the room as auto framing, then speaker tracking is whoever is the active talker. The Unite 60 is the one which is doing speaker tracking. Will switch to an active talker. The presenter tracking is a capability with all 3, but primarily with 160 and 260 will be used mostly for classroom type applications. So yeah, the Unite 260 has some really advanced algorithm and chipsets chain which can do some high quality image production even in low light conditions. That's where both 160 and 260. And it offers, the 260 offers USB, HDMI, and IP output at the same time, and controls on Visca and LAN-based control. So these are some quite nice features on the Unite 260 camera. Moving on to the last product for today's presentation, which is our Versa UCS2100 Switcher Kit, which is designed for modern hybrid meeting spaces. And to help with explaining that, I have created a presentation which is kind of including different pieces that we discussed in this meeting. You can see a Clay 1 BMA 360 Dante connecting to a Dante switch, and we are using one of this small little adapter, converting that into a USB. As far as the UCS2100 is concerned, there are two components. One is the transmitter, which is mostly a table unit, on the receiver, which is ideally will be placed behind the display. And there's a single Cat6 extension based on HDBaseT 3.0 and can be extended up to 100 meters with Cat6A, which will do a 4K 60 444 color space. And the most liked feature of this unit is its ability to automatically switch between an in-room PC, that is input number 2, and a USB-C input. Or in other words, it can have both on the table where while we're all in the transition phase, you still want an HDMI connectivity on the table and a USB-C. So it does offer both, and it will transfer the peripherals like the audio and the camera to the whichever the selected host. So let's say when I bring in my laptop, connect my USB-C, all the peripherals are transferred to my unit. I've done my presentations. Once I'm done with the presentations, unplug my USB, all those peripherals will go back to the in-room compute. And it offers an HDBaseT output, HDMI output, both are mirrored. And there are audio de-embedding outputs. You can connect to a standard balanced audio external mixer or amplifier of your choice. The controls can be done from the front panel buttons or with the GPIO buttons available for switching, blanking a screen. I can do different functionalities with the GPIO buttons, or can control that unit through RS-232 or IP with an external control system. There are 6 peripheral ports available, 2 USB 3 peripheral ports on the transmitter unit, and there are 4. There are 3 of them are USB type A and a USB-C. And those are USB 2, which is 480 Mbps, doing up to 1080p on cameras. So so it's a problem solver where we have heard many people, mentioning about their challenges, what they face with long USB cables. So it's a problem solver for the modern meeting spaces, meeting rooms. With that, we'll move into the Q&A. You can, Christo, what sort of questions we have?
Yep. All right, so some of the questions regarding the Versa uses is that, is it compatible with any other brands, or is it just compatible with Clear One?
Yeah, absolutely. So these are KVM, USB KVM switches. So it is compatible with any standard conferencing device which is supporting USB.
Okay, so some other questions is, have we tested any particular brand or some brands with the Versa UCS?
We have. We have tested with the likes of Logitech, Poly, and radio cameras. Yeah, and from the audio perspective, different sort of speaker phones, the poly video bars, yeah, they work pretty well. If you have any specific model or anything that you would want to test with, or you can either request for a demo unit with your regional sales manager, test it yourself, or let us know if that's something that is, we have in our test lab. We'll be happy to assist with.
Another question that comes about the camera is that for Unite 260 IP stream output, so does ClearOne have any device which will receive IP stream and give HDMI out?
It's possible with solutions of our AV or IP decoders. So these cameras can do H.264 and 265 RTMP or RTSP. It's pretty much can be decoded even on a PC with a VLC player. Or if you want to stream it through a ClearOne View Pro decoder, that's a possibility. Or any industry standard decoders which can receive RTMP or RTSP streams should be compatible.
Yeah, so the next question is about the BMA 360. How many beams does the BMA 360 supports?
Yeah, so BMA 360, as I mentioned, it is customizable up to your choice. It can start from anything between 1 beam up to 12 beams, depending upon the size of the room and the application that you would want to. We have customers using anything from 6 beams, starting from, even there are some with 5. Yeah, so it's pretty much customizable. So anything between 1 up to 12. Every single child can go up to 12 beams. And not only that, it's not just the number of beams. You can also decide and configure the beam angle. If you want a 35-degree small angle, or a 45-degree, or a 55-degree opening angle for those beams. So, yeah.
Next question is about the Dialog UVHF. What is the battery backup or the battery, like what is the transmitter power strength? Like how long does it stay?
Yeah, so it was part of our presentation, which is 12 hours of runtime at 1 milliwatt transmission power. When you increase the transmission power from 1 milliwatt to, let's say, 10 milliwatt, that will typically the runtime will go down by 30 to 40%. But yeah, but at 1 milliwatt, it's 12 hours. These are lithium-ion batteries and AA size, so you're not dependent on ClearOne to purchase the batteries. Can support an off-the-shelf AA size lithium-ion battery from the market.
The next question is, what is the coverage of the Dialog UVHF?
If I understand that question correctly, is that the distance?
The access point coverage.
All right, that's 60 meters radius or 200 feet radius line of sight.
The next question is regarding the same. Do you have a smaller, like a 4-channel or a 2-channel system?
I would say stay tuned.
All right, so that's it for now.
Yeah, for now we only have the 8-channel, but the 4 and lower number of channels are something that we are looking at. We are looking to ship the UVHF sometime in Q4. So once we're done with that project, yes, there'll be more news. So in addition to that, we're also shipping our new Chat 150 BT. I've not included this product in the presentation, but this is shipping. It's a pretty good deal. It's an updated look and feel for the industry known Chat 150, which now supports Bluetooth with the capacitive buttons. And what else? Yeah, it also comes with a Bluetooth adapter, which is what we are currently testing for a compatibility with some of the wireless sharing collaboration devices like the Barco ClickShare CX series. That testing goes through. It will be a quite nice combination to use the Bluetooth dongle on the wireless on the CX device and have one of this speakerphone on the table. Just power up with a USB or any DC power supply. You get a true wireless collaboration, experience.
All right. So
we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And if you got more questions or anything, do feel free to reach out to any of your regional sales managers or directly to me. Thank you.